ॐ सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्ति। ॐ सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम्। श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानाम् आलयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पादं शङ्करं लोकशङ्करम्। शङ्करं शङ्कराचार्यं केशवं बादरायणं सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः। समस्तजनकल्याणे निरतं करुणामयं नमामि चिन्मयं देवं सद्गुरुं ब्रह्मविद्वरम्।
આજે કઈ તારીખ છે?
So Hari Om, salutations to all. We had seen the samsara vriksha and then how to cut the samsara vriksha. That was in the first mantra of this third valli of the second chapter. Then the connection between the first mantra and the second mantra, in that there is an objection that was raised. So it says there, yad vijnanad amrita bhavanti iti uchyate jagato moolam tadeva na asti. By knowing which one becomes immortal, that has been said, because the first mantra said tad brahma tadeva amritam uchyate, tadeva shukram tad brahma tadeva amritam uchyate. So the roots are the Supreme Lord, and knowing that Supreme Lord, one becomes immortal. That is Brahman. One knowing that Brahman, one becomes immortal. So the objection raised is that moola does not exist. Na asti brahma asat eva idam nisritam iti. Brahman does not exist. Why? Because the world is asat. Now if the cause is, if the effect is asat, then the cause also must be asat. Now that's the logic being used. That if the whole world itself is asat, then the cause also is asat. So there is no Brahman. So Shankaracharya says, no, that is not correct. Tanna. Tatna, meaning that is not correct. Why? Because the logic is very simple. That which is, we are seeing this whole universe, for us at the moment, the world is not asat. For us, the world right now is an illusion. Even for us, it's not illusion right now, it is real. So we are seeing the world only as real. But the nature of this world is what? It is continuously changing. So I am perceiving change in this whole world, including this body, mind, intellect. So if there is a changing world, there has to be a changeless substratum for it. One cannot say that there is no substratum. It may appear logical to say if the effect is asat, non-existent, cause has to be non-existent. But the fact is, for me, the world is not non-existent. I am seeing the world. And how am I seeing? I am seeing it as changing. Earlier mantra said it is that Brahman which is changeless, which is appearing as this world. But I am not seeing that Brahman. Nor am I not seeing the world. I am seeing the world as changing continuously. So change itself means that there has to be a changeless cause. Otherwise, there is no perception of change possible. The snake, from one standpoint, is asat. Which is that standpoint? Rope standpoint. When I see the rope, then the snake is asat. There is no snake. But till I am seeing the snake is there. And that snake has a substratum, which is the rope. Rope is appearing as the snake. So for me, the snake is real. So Vedanta says, no, snake is an illusion. You see, the rope is the substratum which is appearing as the snake. So in the same way, this changeless Brahman is appearing as the changing world. If somebody is hallucinating also, there has to be the hallucinator who is there, no? Even mentally, that person is imagining anything. That person has to be there to imagine. The hallucination may be false, but the person is real. The rope is real, the snake is false. So it is not necessary that if the effect is false, the cause has to be false. In an illusion, that logic doesn't apply at all. In an illusion, the cause is real, then the effect is an appearance of the cause. The illusion is there. What is the illusion there? We don't see the cause as the cause. That is the illusion. We are seeing the cause as the appearance. We are not seeing the rope as rope. We are seeing rope as the snake. So that is why snake is an illusion. Otherwise, actually, there is no illusion also. There is only rope. There is only the cause. But now I'm not seeing cause and I'm seeing the appearance. So then it is said, okay, it's an illusion, but there is a substratum for it, which is appearing as this illusion. So logically, one may say certain things. The Brahman does not exist. Na asti Brahma asat. Eva idam nisritam iti. But it is actually illogical. So these next two mantras, mantra 2 and 3, are to dismiss this false notion that Brahman is asat. You see, this is at the end of this Upanishad almost. After speaking so many things about the Upanishad, about Brahman, etc. Again, this is brought up. Last time we had discussed, one reason is because many people feel that these mantras are added later on. Second reason actually is, even after studying so much, many times the doubt exists, does Brahman really exist or not? Our mind doesn't accept that there is something beyond the mind. Whatever is in the realm of the mind, which is changing, which is perceptible, which I can feel, I can think about, for me that is real. That there is something beyond this, even after years of study of Vedanta, one may still wonder, does Brahman really exist? That's why Shraddha is very important, and that Shraddha comes with proper clarity, not blind. So now this mantra number 2 is the second one and the third one. They both are giving examples that why Brahman exists. Yadidam kincha jagat sarvam prana ejati nisritam mahadbhayam vajramudyatam etad viduramritaste bhavanti. So he says yadidam kincha, whatever is there in this whole world, yadidam kincha jagat sarvam, in this whole world, prana ejati nisritam. It is because of prana. Now please remember, last time we discussed this. Prana here does not mean the prana shakti. Prana here means Supreme Brahman. So this Supreme Brahman, it is because of that the whole world is created, sustained, into which it goes back, nisritam. Mahadbhayam vajramudyatam. It is as though this Brahman is standing with a thunderbolt in the hand, and so everyone is terrified of that Brahman. And that's why they are doing what the rhythm in the cosmos we see, they are doing their duty because of this fear of this Brahman. So there is an analogy given here. Mahadbhayam vajramudyatam yaetad viduhu amritaste bhavanti. Those who know this, become immortal. Meaning those who know that there is a Brahman and realize that Brahman, they become immortal. Now this is the literal meaning of the mantra. Now let us see what Shankaracharya ji says. Yadidam kincha yat kimcha idam jagat sarvam prane parasmin brahmani sati ejati kampate tata eva nisritam nirgatam sat prachalati niyamena cheshtate. So he says here that the word prana is parasmin brahmani, in that supreme Brahman, because the word prana, the root of the word prana is an. An means to move. So prana is that because of which the physiological movements happen in the body, physiological systems are functioning in the body. So that is one meaning of prana. Because the basic root is an means to move, and so it is making the whole body function. So the prana that we take in, then apana, what we give out, vyana is circulation, then udana is the reactionary process, so all the vomiting and sweating and all that, and then it is also responsible for creativity as well as ejection from the body at the time of death, that is udana, and then samana is assimilation. All this is happening because of prana. Now we should remember that prana by itself has no capability to do this. Prana by itself is jada vastu. Earlier in the mantras it has come, no, that the supreme consciousness is that which is beyond prana. Na pranena, na apanena, martyo jivati kaschana. That was said earlier. Neither by prana nor by apana, meaning by none of these five physiological systems actually is the person alive. The person is alive because of the consciousness that enlivens prana, which makes prana do what it does. So prana is by itself jada. But here the word prana is used to indicate consciousness, because prana word has many usages in Vedic literature. So prana does not mean only the five pranas. Prana can also mean Hiranyagarbha, the total mind. Prana can also mean that supreme Brahman, like how they have used here, Parasmin Brahmani. In Prashnopanishad also it comes, Rai and Prana. So their prana is consciousness, Rai means matter. In general usage, prana becomes matter and Brahman or Sachidananda is consciousness. So the word, in what context it is used, that's why we need the commentaries, because many times we don't realize what this means. Then we get completely confused. So prana ejati. So that which enables anything to happen, the movement also which is happening, and in this whole world, it is the prana which is making all this possible. There is constant movement happening within the body. Then prana shakti is the prana shakti which is being used even for thoughts. So how is the mind able to think? One is the prana shakti in the body is there. That same prana shakti is used by the mind also. And that prana shakti is getting its power from consciousness. So who is making the thoughts happen? Consciousness. Who is making the body function? Consciousness. In the world outside, there is so much of movement and so much of nature which is working in a particular rhythm. The cosmic rhythm which is there, that is also because of the Supreme Lord only. And that's why Parasmin Brahmani Sati Ejati. So the whole world manifests, it is able to do what it is doing. Tateva nisritam nirgatam sat prachalati niyamena cheshtate. Appropriately, there is a cosmic rhythm which is there. So the seasons come and go, the earth rotates in a particular velocity. So many things are happening in this whole universe which we can time properly. You know, so many scientists, when they explain that Jupiter will take this many days to finish one, I don't know how many, 12 years or something it takes to complete one round. Or maybe I'm wrong, some number it is, I forgot. Earth takes 365 days to go around. Jupiter takes that many days, you know, to go to make one cycle of the sun. This Halley's comet will come once in 60 years. Like that, they will explain. How all that is happening is not happening randomly. It's very easy to say it's all random. What random? Observe carefully. So many systems are functioning in place for things to happen. And we are seeing the result of that or not. Continuously, the result of these systems are being seen. Right from the small, tiniest atom onwards to the big galaxies, there is certain cosmic rhythm that is there. That's why Gurudev used to say that universe is not a chaos, it is a cosmos. Meaning there is a certain harmony here. In spite of all the death and destruction, etc., that's a part of the creation. Now, when we see some death and destruction, then we get terrified. Then we say, which God, what God? God does not exist. But it is actually the reverse. Because of that, God exists. It shows clearly that there is a reality. Multiple galaxies can get what we call collided. Supernova, it is called supernova. I don't know if I shared here, but you know, the blood that is, the heart that is pumping and the blood has iron. This iron, from where did it come? If scientifically, if you analyze this, in the creation, in the beginning, there was no iron. Iron has come by the collision of galaxies. Continuous collision of many galaxies. Iron is created in the universe, and that iron, those particles finally, through the whole system what is created, comes into the body through the food and air and the other things that we consume. Through all those things, that iron comes into the body, and that is used to pump the blood. Now think about it. My heart is also beating because of a universal rhythm, because of certain factors. It's not randomly something is happening just like that. So the very fact that in the whole universe there is a certain system going on shows that there is a reality behind it. It's not randomly happening. We may not be able to understand number one. We may not be able to accept number two. Just imagine galaxies and galaxies are colliding. What we are right now talking about coronavirus, and so many people are affected by it and all that. No doubt it is difficult for us. But when we see in the cosmic picture, huge galaxies collide by themselves. Now, where is the question of one small Earth in that? Our solar system is a part of that Milky Way. Milky Way is a part of that Andromeda. Andromeda is a part of something else. Like that, it goes on. So whole universe has so much of cosmic rhythm. And he says, Niyamena cheshtate. It is working with proper laws. The very fact that there are laws shows that there is a lawmaker. That is simple conclusion. So Yadevam Jagad Utpatti Adi Karanam Brahma Tan Mahad Bhayam. So the fear is of what? The cause of the universe. Utpatti Adi Karanam. Adi means sustenance and destruction. The creation, sustenance and destruction. Because of that existence of that Supreme Brahman, there is fear. In whom? In all these elements and the Devatas and everybody. That there is some master who is the source of all this and who is enforcing all this. And when certain things don't happen at appropriate time or, you know, as per the laws, then there are karmic consequences also. So there is a system externally, there is a system internally that has been created. And so bhayam, tan mahat bhayam. You just think about it, what this bhaya can be actually fear also, and that this bhaya can be absolute wonder and awe. What is this reality? From where this multiple, universes are created, not one universe. In one universe, we are talking about so many galaxies and collisions and all that. There are multiple universes like this. That's why the word today, the science also uses is that universe word is not correct. It is a multiverse. Multiverse means multiple universes are there. Uni means only one. So it's not one universe. Our one universe is only one small part of this. Multiple such universes exist. What kind of a reality it should be, and what our Bhakti Shastra says, that Bhagavan is what? Narayana, Mahavishnu. Who is he? Ananta Koti Brahmanda Nayaka. He is the Lord of countless universes. Multiverse, that is. Every pore of Mahavishnu is one universe. Now you think how many pores are there in the whole body? That many universes are there. And this Lord, he has created all systems, and he himself is in Yoga Nidra. No stress, no tension. We have one little household to run, one organization to run, and we fret and fume. That Bhagavan has created all these multiverses, and he is in Yoga Nidra, happily sleeping away. No tension, no stress. Systems are put in place. If you break the system, the law will take over. And there are people who are appointed. They will give the proper karma phala also. So one can be in awe of that reality. Or one can be scared. Now who will be scared? Those who break the law, they will be scared. Those who don't break the law, those who understand dharma, those who follow the cosmic rhythm, they will wonder and they will live in such admiration ki what a reality, this is amazing. You see how Shankaracharya ji described that whole samsara vriksha. And the urdhva moolam, the roots are above. And knowing that, one becomes immortal. So living in samsara, one has to break free from this bondage and follow dharma and realize Brahman. Then one is in awe, one is not scared. In here, the context is one is scared is given here to make one understand that to implement such a system, what a mighty reality it has to be. And how easily one is saying Brahman does not exist. So Mahat Bhayam, Mahatcha, Tad Bhayam Cha, Bibheti Asmaditi Mahat Bhayam. So it is great, Mahat means great. And the fear, so Mahat Bhayam is a compound. So he split the compound like this, Mahatcha Bhayam Cha. So the greatness of this Brahman, this vastness of this Brahman, the glory of this Brahman, is the devotee who will be in awe, who will understand this. And those who don't understand, they are scared. Because whether we accept Brahman or not, there has to be some cause we have to accept. Suppose we say we'll take the side of the person who has, the Purva Pakshi, who has created an objection. There is no Brahman. Okay, fine, there is no Brahman. Then universe is still there. Lot of changes happening. Death is there, destruction is there, sorrow is there, fear is there, anxiety is there. All that is there or not? So if I deny the existence of Bhagavan and Brahman, fine. But all this is still there in the world. And I have to still be scared of somebody or the other in this world. Either some power, some position, some people. Right now we are scared of what? Virus. And how strange is that? 1 gram of virus, only 1 gram. In this whole world, only 1 gram of virus has destroyed the peace of mind of so many people. Once it goes inside the human body, it multiplies, that's a different thing. But If you actually measure the weight of the coronavirus compared to the number of patients who have got affected, now it may have become 1.5 or 2 grams. Earlier, when it was about 1 million people, 1 million people were affected by the total weight of the virus, which has affected 1 million people, is only 1 gram. Some cause or the other will be there or not, to be scared, to be afraid of. And I will still not know from where all this is coming. That is ignorance, that creates another fear. One is the fear of living in the world and the people and the various things in the world out of which I am scared. Second is ignorance also will create fear, because I don't know from where all this is coming. I have denied the cause. From nothing this is all coming. Now I don't know what to do now. Anchorless. Where did I come from? Best part of that is that if I deny Brahman, I deny my own source. Why? Because I am Asat, so my cause is Asat, meaning my father, grandfather, everybody Asat. As a body, as a Jiva also, no cause for me. I came from nowhere, I am going nowhere. What kind of a, what is it called? A person who is in limbo. It's a limbo state. There is no connection at all. There is no continuity at all. Suddenly, from nowhere I came and nowhere I go. Very illogical. So, Mahat Bhayam, Mahatcha Bhayam Cha. Those who are the people who have thought properly, they are in awe, they are in wonder, and they strive to realize that Brahman and realize immortality. Those who don't know, they will have fear in life. Fear of people, fear of things, plus fear of caused by ignorance, fear that I don't know what is the cause. It's very easy to say who has seen past and who has seen future. This life alone is just eat, drink and be merry. That is escaping conveniently, but deep down insecurity remains. What happens to me after I die? No, Swamiji, I don't have any such insecurity. If I am afraid of tomorrow, if I have some insecurity even about this life tomorrow, it is impossible not to have insecurity about life after. No, I don't have any fear for tomorrow. Absolutely fearless I am. Only a person who has gone beyond body, mind, intellect can be absolutely fearless. Otherwise, I have not introspected enough and I have not come to face my fears. Or I am escaping from my fears. I don't want to acknowledge I am in a denial mode. It is not possible to have no fear at all identified with the BMI. Impossible. It may be that I have not become aware of my fears. I have not come to face my fears. I have come to face and I am escaping. Or I don't want to acknowledge at all. There are so many possibilities. So Mahat Bhayam, Mahatcha Bhayam Cha. So here is to understand the glory of that Brahman. This whole universe is an example of the glory of Brahman. So one starts admiring. See, one simple painting we see, or some nice craftsmanship we see, or some nice invention we see, then we start admiring the painter or the craftsman or the scientist. Here, such a massive universe we are seeing. Every single aspect of the universe is a great wonder. But how this is happening? And still one is saying that there is no such reality. Such clockwork precision, so many things happen. And such beautiful things which we see in nature also. How that seed sprouts, how the flower blooms, how seasons come, how it rains, so many things. We may understand some things now. That understanding of that system doesn't mean that there is no creator of the system. There is the ulta. That shows that there is a creator. So seeker will have wonder, will have awe. And at the same time, there may be bhaya also. If I don't accept this reality, if I don't live in rhythm, in this cosmic rhythm, I may hurt myself, harm myself and the environment, which is what human being has done or not. We have destroyed so many systems. And nature is not going to be quiet. Nature gives back the reply. One shot, it can wipe out the entire human race, will be finished in one shot of nature. One earthquake has to come, one tsunami has to come, one coronavirus has to come, finished. Human race will get extinct. What does earth bother? What does Mother Nature bother? So there is a fear of breaking the system. There are consequences, and we are seeing climate change and all is so real right now. You know, the locust attack is happening. Every year it happens actually. This year it has happened much more. One of the reasons for that locust attack is, the scientists are saying that the core of the earth is melting. There's metal in the core of the earth and there is heat, tremendous heat, 3,000 kilometers below the surface of the earth. That core of the earth is becoming weak. Sorry, not melting. The core of the earth is becoming weaker. And that is creating change in the magnetic field of this whole universe. And eventually in 10 lakh years time, the North Pole and the South Pole will become reversed completely. The poles are already shifting. Every year it shifts by 10 kilometers. Now, all this the science is discovering or not. So much human being has exploited the system also, and then nature, when it wants to, it will do so many things. Then one is wondering, Arey, what happened suddenly? Why this is happening? Why that is happening? This year, if you see how terrific it has been, coronavirus, pandemic, and then there is super cyclone, and then there is this locust attack, and then there is this Earth's core becoming weak. What all is happening? So when one sees all this, one wonders or one gets fear. Even if you don't believe in God, one says there is nature. So fear of nature is there. And nature is actually Prakriti of Bhagavan only. Who can deny that? Those who don't think properly, they will say, I believe in nature. But what is that nature? Not some inert loss. It is Brahman's power only. So Mahacha Bhayamcha Tad Mahat Bhayam. Then Vajramudyatam Udyatam Iva Vajram. Meaning it is not that literally Brahman is standing with some Vajra and making people like a tyrant. You know, if you don't act, I will put the Vajra on you and I will kill you. It's not like that. That's why it says Iva. It is just an analogy that there is some fear of the master. Yatha Vajra Udyatakaram Swaminam Abhimukhi Bhutam Drishtva Bhritya Niyamena Tat Shasane Vartante Tatha Idam Chandraditya Graha Nakshatra Tarakadi Lakshanam Jagat Sarveshwaram Jagat Sa Ishwaram Niyamena Kshanam Api Avishrantam Vartata Ityuktam Bhavati. So the example given here is of the master and the servant. So if in a home everything is spick and span, clean, and all time to time proper food is being cooked and the clothes are being washed and everything is being taken care of properly by the servants, that means the fear of the master is there. That there is some master in the home who is enforcing all these systems and everything is going on perfectly. So that example he gives here, that Swaminam Abhimukhi Bhutam Drishtva Bhritya Niyamena Tat Shasane Vartante. Properly the servants work. As long as the master is at home, they work, which we see or not. When the master goes out of home, servant also takes the remote control and sits and watches the TV. And sometimes the master comes back home suddenly in the afternoon not expected time, and suddenly one says, hey, what this fellow is doing? Nowadays, so CCTV camera is there, so people put CCTV camera and then on the phone you can see what is happening at home. Earlier, when CCTV was not there, suddenly the master or the mistress comes home, suddenly then they will see, hey, this fellow is watching TV, or this fellow is using the, earlier they used to have the VCR, so VHS tape will be there. In that VCR, put that, and then you sit and watch. The channels were not there so many. So when the master is at home, then the servants behave in a certain way. When the master is not at home, the servants behave in a different way. So that shows how, if there is everything happening properly, that means the fear of the master is there and the system is being followed properly. In the same way, in the whole world, this whole creation, all this Surya, Chandra, Graha, Nakshatra, all of them, they are doing their job properly. That shows that there is a controller, there is a supreme lord. Jagat Sa Ishwaram, that the world has a creator. Niyamena Kshanam Api Avishrantam. Not even for a second they are relaxing. Like the servant relaxes when the master goes. But here master doesn't go anywhere. Master is all pervasive. Master is looking at everyone from inside, outside, everywhere. Here is the question. So he says, not even for a minute they relax. Avishrantam. Kshanam api avishrantam. Not a minute. Vartate iti uktam bhavati. And hence it is that there is Brahman. So you cannot say Brahman does not exist. Brahman exists. From logic standpoint, we saw that if there is a changing world, there has to be a changeless substratum. From experience standpoint, we see that if there is system that is being followed, there has to be a creator of that system and enforcer of that system. And 3, there is a fear also of the mightiness, of the glory of that Brahman, and of the repercussions and consequences when the system is not being followed. So all that proves that Brahman exists. Jayetad viduhu swatma pravritti sakshi bhutam ekam brahma amrita amarana dharmanaha te bhavanti. Now that Brahman is not only taking care of the world outside, inside also. That is another proof. Ya etad viduhu swatma pravritti sakshi bhutam. Each individual, the activities that the individual is doing, swatma pravritti, each individual's own actions, meaning thoughts, feelings, actions, all these, sakshi bhutam. There is a sakshi inside. So that sakshi inside, which we feel as aham, 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 that itself is the proof of existence of Brahman. I don't even have to look outside. If one thinks very clearly, how is this Jada Vastu working? Not because of prana. The bhav that aham asmi, I am, that I am is unaffected by anything. We add descriptions to it. But Sakshi is aham. Pure I is the Sakshi, who does not get involved in anything. That's called Sakshi. Who is only a witness. Aksha means to see. So Sakshi means to see without getting involved. So body, mind, intellect, they change. Sakshi is a witness of that. And so he says, pravritti sakshi, swatma pravritti sakshi bhutam ekam. And that sakshi is only one. The seen is many, but the seer is one. Like the eyes. The example always given is the eyes, they are only one. One meaning not physical eye. Physically we may have 2 eyes. But the capability to see, that is one. Objects are so many. Rupam drishyam lochanam drik. Rupam means all the form, the objects. That is seen. Lochanam, eyes, they are the seer. So the seen is many, the seer is one. Tadrishyam driktu manasam. Then the mind becomes the seer of these eyes. I am able to see, I am not able to see clearly, I am not able to see at all. These are states of the eye. The mind is the witness of that. Who is the witness of the mind? Intellect is the witness of the mind. Drishya dhivrittaya sakshi. Dhivrittaya drishya. Rupam drishyam lochanam dhrit tadrishyam drittu manasam drishya dhivrittaya sakshi. So the mind goes through emotions, fluctuations, negativities, positive feelings. Who is the witness? Buddhi is a witness of that. Intellect has desires, thoughts, values, ideals, goals. Who is the witness of that? Atma. If you say who is the witness of that Atma, Drigeva natu drishyate, that Atma never becomes the seen. Atma is the ultimate seer. The ultimate seer, consciousness, witness consciousness, which witnesses the states of the intellect, mind, prana, senses, body, world outside, is that your consciousness is the Atma, the self. It says that Atma itself is the proof of existence of that Brahman, because by itself it is unlimited. As a Sakshi, it is not bound by one body, mind, intellect. It is the same Sakshi in all, Ekam. So in us also it is one, in the others also it is the same, because it's infinite one. It is not some small little object. So that Sakshi is the proof that Brahman exists. So now both the proofs he has given. Externally in the universe there is a cosmic rhythm, and because of that Brahman exists. And internally there is a Sakshi within me, who is unaffected, uninvolved observer of whatever is happening. And that nature of that Sakshi is infinite. No, I don't believe in that. Do sadhana and believe. Then only one will know. So many things cannot be proved. There's some logic that we gave just now. Seer is one, seen is many. Seer is never affected by the seen. There's enough logic to seer and seen are always different. So that Dirgdishya Vivek one can do. There's logic is there in that. But logic is only supportive. Experiential proof has to happen by turning the mind introvert. Sakshi is already our experience, but we are not focusing on it. It's not that we have to create Sakshi Bhav now. Sakshi is our true self. I have only to create the mind, the right environment in the mind to recognize that, oh, that this is my nature, I am not this mind. That requires sadhana. That cannot, how much ever one argues, one cannot experience all that. And how strange is that? People say this is not experiential. Spirituality is only experiential, nothing more than experiential. Logic and all that is only supportive. People think ulta only. They think that this is very theoretical, tell us something more practical. If one wants solutions for one's day-to-day problems, then fine, spirituality will give those also. But if one wants to know who am I, one wants to know who is God, one wants to understand the depth of this knowledge and this universe, then one has to turn within and apply. Learn to control the senses, train the mind, make it single-pointed. All that is required. Then it is experiential. Right here and now one will experience. There is nothing more experiential than aham. First aham has to rise, then any other experience will rise. So that is what this is. Pravritti sakshi bhutam ekam brahma. And having known that, amrita amarana dharmanaha te bhavanti. They become immortal. Why? Because the nature of sakshi is that no boundaries of time, space, object. No boundaries of body, mind, intellect. Is immortal. So knowing myself as the sakshi, whose nature is Satchidanand, one will realize that Satchidanand is the cause of this whole universe also. If that substratum which is appearing as this whole universe is Satchidanand, one becomes immortal. So this was one mantra which spoke about why we say Brahman exists. That thought process is continued in the third mantra also. Katham tad bhayad Jagad Vartata iti aha. So earlier it was said Mahad Bhayam. No? In the commentary, Shankaracharya ji actually explained about Chandra and the Nakshatra and Taraka and all of those, that these heavenly bodies and the whole universe functions out of a rhythm because of the fear of that. But now the mantra proper also gives that analogy through the Devatas. See the third mantra. Bhayadasyagnistapati bhayat tapati suryah bhayadirascha vayuscha mrityurdhavati panchamaha. This example had come earlier also, where it was said mrityuhu yasya upasechanam, death is a pickle for it. No. And it is because of the fear of that Brahman only the whole universe is functioning. Brahma Kshatram Bhavata Odana, those mantras have come earlier. So now that similar thought is extended here, that it is a fear of this Lord. Bhayad Agni Tapati, fire gives heat because of fear of that Lord. Bhayat Tapati Surya, the sun gives light because of that Supreme. Bhayad Indrascha, and the Indra is the king of gods and is the residing deity for rains. So rains happen because of the fear of that Lord. Vayu, the wind blows by the fear of that Lord. And Mrityur Dhavati Panchamaha. And the Mrityu is called Panchamaha because it is the fifth one in the enlisting here. Agni, Surya, Indra, Vayu, and then Mrityu. So Panchama is meant for Mrityu. Panchamaha Mrityuhu Dhavati. And Mrityu also runs, meaning it runs to get it has to do its job. No, Yamaraj has to do. Yamaraj is giving his own example. Imagine. He's telling Nachiketa that I also work because of fear of that Brahman only. So how can you say Brahman does not exist? And Purva Pakshi has created that objection. But Yamaraj is saying, I am the proof of that. That I am going and doing my job and people are dying is because of the fear of that Lord. Meaning, there is this supreme reality who functions in this whole universe, because of whom all these phenomenal forces, the Devatas also are functioning. 2 points here to understand. Devatas are not independent. They don't have power of their own. They have derived power from Brahman, from Bhagwan only. So that is 1 point to understand. And second point to understand is that Brahman is supreme. If we worship Brahman, we don't have to worship anyone else. So we don't have to be dependent. We may respect these phenomenal forces, but if we have connected to Brahman through Ishtadevata or through steady contemplation on the formless, either of these, we don't have to worry. What will happen? Will Indra become angry? Will Varuna become angry? No need. If we have gone to the highest authority, then nothing, no need to fear. Because they all do action out of fear of that. So here it is now. This bhashya is very simple because it's already covered in the earlier one. Bhayad Bhitya, meaning out of fear, Parameshwarasya, out of the fear of that Lord. See this Parameshwarasya Bhitya, that is a connection. Parameshwarasya Agnihi, don't connect that it is the fire, the fear of the fire of the Lord. No. Parameshwarasya Bhayad Bhitya, because of the fear of that Lord, Agnihi Tapati, so split there. Agnihi Tapati, the fire burns. Bhayat Tapati Surya, the sun is giving light and heat. Bhayad Indrascha Vayuscha Mrityurdhavati Panchamaha. All of them are doing their job because of that Lord. Nahi Ishwaranam Lokapalanam Samarthanam Satam Niyanta Ched वज्र उद्यत करवन न स्यात् स्वामी भयभीतानाम इव भृत्यानाम नियता प्रवृत्ति ही उत्पद्यते. See, these phenomenal forces themselves have great powers, like the power of rains, power of wind. You just see super cyclone, it just blew away so many things. Our center in Kolkata, that roof, everything has just gone, blown away, and some have fallen also. Such powerful winds uproots many things. So these phenomenal forces themselves have power, which is terrific power. If they are by themselves terrific, then the fear of the Lord, out of whose fear they work, how much more power is that Supreme Lord? He says, unless that Lord is there who is like that, who is such a mighty force, these Lokapala, they themselves who are Samartha, who are so great and so powerful, they will not function unless there is a greater power who is enforcing all these systems and this way in which each of them function. And we should remember one more point here, that these devatas are all positions. Brahman is not a position. Devatas are all positions, and jivas will take positions. Like Prime Minister, President has 5-5-year tenure. No? Like that, these jivas have this Indra, Varuna, Vayu, Yama, all these are positions, including Brahmaji himself, the creator. All these are positions, and appropriate jivas at the appropriate time, because of the punya karma that they have done, they will ascend to those positions and they will wield those powers. But Brahman is the one from whom all these powers come. And so he says that unless there is a powerful presence, like the earlier example of having the Vajra in the hand, unless there is a Supreme Lord like that, even these powerful demigods, they will not do their job. And so the same example he gives here in the commentary of the servant and the master, that there is a master and the fear of that master makes the servant function. Bhayabhitanam iva bhrityanam niyata pravritti upapadyate. Now, having said this, what is to be done? That Brahman exists, 2 mantras have proved, and that Brahman is the cause of this samsara vriksha, that also we saw. Now, what should be the bhav? What should be the attitude? That having got a human birth, we should come to realize that Brahman. So the next mantra is about the urgency. That if we realize this Brahman, we become liberated. So that was said even earlier. Etad vidhu amrutaste bhavanti. So the urgency to realize that Brahman and the importance of this body and this loka, that is said in the 4th and the 5th mantra. And also the consequence that if I don't realize this Brahman, then I am stuck in the cycle of birth and death. So now that is what we will see here now in this mantra. Yeah. 4th mantra is that. Iha chedashakad bodhum praksharirasya visrasaha tata sargeshu lokeshu sharirattvaya kalpate. Iha ched ashakat bodhum praksharirasya visrasaha. Iha ched ashakat bodhum. Here itself, if one has come to know praksharirasya visrasa, before the body drops, tata sargeshu lokeshu, then in the different worlds, sharirattvaya kalpate, one will get appropriate bodies. Now it seems contradictory. What? If I know Brahman, then I will keep taking rebirth. No, no. So in the second line, we have to understand the implied meaning. If I don't know the Brahman, then Sargeshu Lokeshu Sariratvaya Kalpate. That is implied in this mantra. Otherwise, one will say that if I know Brahman, I will be stuck in cycle of birth and death. That is completely contradictory to what the mantra wants to say. Iha ched ashakat bodhum rak sharirasya visrasaha. Yeah. You see, in the translation, they have given the implied meaning in the translation itself in this commentary. Otherwise, it is very confusing. Tata sargeshu lokeshu sharirattvaya kalpate. If one does not know Brahman in this life, then more births will happen and one will be stuck. But if I know here and now, I am freed. So this mantra is to tell us about how urgently we have to strive to realize the Supreme Brahman. We should not postpone. But this is one habit human being has. We all have that habit. Enough time is there. There is not enough time. You know, one point Guruji made when he was speaking on this Kathopanishad, he said, the very fact that we are born means we are late. Think about it. The very fact that we are born means we are late. So we think that we have enough time and in time we will reach there. That is because, you know, we have not felt the pain of this samsara. Happily cruising along in this samsara sagar. This Titanic experience we have not had. The Titanic is sinking. Terrible storm is there. We have not had that experience. So we are happily cruising along. Samsara is so beautiful, wonderful, amazing. Enjoy, khao, piyo, mauj karo. Cruising along. Enough time is there after seeing all this, and then sometime later, maybe we will get moksha. So human being always has this thought in the mind. Postpone. Especially liberation. Not only liberation, even in daily life, you see our priorities are not set properly. That's why Stephen Covey has to tell again and again, first things first. Is that anything to even tell? What is important has to be done first. But the human being has to be reminded, first things first. Why? Because our priorities don't come in order. Pleasure and position and other things take more precedence. And what is truly important gets neglected. Even in coronavirus situation, now lockdown which is happening. Now 60 days or more we have been in lockdown now. Some are working from home, but many are not. And who have at least that facility of being at home and one is not stuck up on road somewhere or in some poverty somewhere. We can put our evolution first or not. Get up at right time, do some exercises, do some sadhana, do some meditation, study, take care of the work at home, spend some time with the family, and can prioritize, bring some order in one's life. But many don't do that. Instead of using this as an opportunity to tune up one's BMI, something else only one is either indulging in some laziness, lethargy, or just spending away time watching something, killing time. People are playing on apps on the phone. What is the app? There's nothing wrong in playing on phone on any game, but sometimes the games are ridiculous. One game I saw is so ridiculous. This mosquito is coming and the racket is there and you have to kill. Another mosquito comes, again kill. What nonsense is that? There is nothing productive to do. Human being has not thought properly. So just killing time. So killing mosquitoes. How funny is that? A human body doesn't come so fast. That mantra, this mantra is to tell the urgency about that ki human birth is not so easy. Come on, get up and do Purushartha and realize the truth. So that more about this I will take up in the next class. Anything in today's session?
Swamiji, Ishjaya, Hari Om. When you were talking about that the I is witnessed by the mind, which is witnessed by the intellect, which is witnessed by the Atma.
I is not witnessed by the mind. I witnesses the mind.
Achha, I witnesses the, but I as in no, I as in the consciousness I, or I as in the equipment I?
No, no. I as the consciousness is the ultimate witness of
Correct.
intellect, mind, then the pranas,
Huh.
the senses, the body. All of these.
So means one can say that basically like the Atma is Atman is the Sakshi for everything only, right? I mean, isn't
Yeah,
that
correct. Atma is the ultimate Sakshi. There is nothing to witness that Atma.
yeah.
What quantum physics calls the ultimate observer. That is the Atma. It observes even the small I, the ego.
Okay, Swami. Thank you.
Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate Om Shanti 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 Hari Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Hari Om